Uh, Before the program starts, as I said, once again, I request everybody to put their mobile phones on silent mode and take their seats. And now, we will stand up for the national anthem before finally taking our seats. So once again, a very warm welcome to all those who are present here. At the beginning of the program, I would like to request the Honorable Chairman, Executive Council, Prime Minister's Museum and Library, Shri Nipendra Mishra ji, to deliver the welcome address. Sir.
I must first apologize, of course, for the inconvenience. I find that quite a few people still haven't got a seat. We are making some arrangements for a few more chairs, but I sincerely apologize, and perhaps there is a need now to expand this auditorium. Honorable Governor, sir, the distinguished speakers for today's program, and our very valuable and worthy guests. I, in fact, notice, in spite of my age, I have few seniors here, and my special gratitude to them for coming here and attending this book release function. It is a privilege to welcome the chief guest, the Honorable Governor of Kerala, Shri Arif Mohammad Khan Sahab. In this very auditorium, Honorable Governor had earlier accepted our invitation to speak on Pandit Nehru, our first Prime Minister. As then majority attending had expressed that his address was a great success and very, very innovative. We are also honored by the presence of the distinguished speakers who very kindly accepted our invitation to join us in the launch and the discussion of the book, Gandhi, A Life in Three Campaigns, authored by very illustrious and erudite personality, Shri M.J. Akbar. Governor Khan Sahab is an eminent scholar, thinker, and a true representative of rich Indian values and traditions. Gandhi ji once had said, if we want to conduct the affairs of India, we must be only Indians. It is of no consequence by what name we call God in our homes. In the work of the nation, all Indians of all faiths are one. We all perhaps agree that Honorable Governor truly and faithfully lives to this inner light. His credentials as a well-known scholar and writer were established with the best-selling book of the year 2010, Text and Context, Quran and Contemporary Challenges. Honorable Governor has a very distinguished political innings also. He had been a member of Union Council of Ministers and successfully discharged the responsibilities of several portfolios. At the young age of 26, he became a member of the Legislative Assembly of Uttar Pradesh. I recall we were young officers when about 5 or 6 young but very well-known politicians of ethical values, pursuing ethical values, they were picked up for special assignments. And Arif Sahab was one of them. And we were extremely proud that he was picked by then rulers of India as the upcoming bright star. Later, he was elected to Lok Sabha. As opinion maker in favor of harmony and reform in society, Governor Khan has been at the forefront for adoption of agenda committing to modernization rooted in our rich heritage. Our illustrious speakers today come from different backgrounds, but are hugely successful in their pursuit of service to the nation. Shri Hardeep Singh Puri ji is currently the Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas, Housing and Urban Affairs. During his earlier career as a diplomat, he served in Brazil, Sri Lanka, Japan, and United Kingdom. He also served as a permanent representative of India at the United Nations and also chaired many important UN committees. Later, he became Secretary to the Government of India, Ministry of External Affairs, and was there between 2009 to 13. Shri Doval, Ajit Kumar Doval, is currently National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister of India. And I can say, trust me, he is the most trusted and valuable colleague of the Prime Minister. His signature quality is that he is a man of few words and low profile. Perhaps that is the secret of his longevity. He was the youngest police officer in India to be awarded Kirti Chakra. And naturally, when he was so young, as he grew older, he had a plethora of well-known awards, honors, and records to his credit. Shri Doval has built a reputation, we all know, for zero tolerance to militancy and terrorism. We have in our midst Shri T.V. Mohandas Pai, an awardee of Padma Shri, Chairman of Manipal Global Education Services and RN Capital. Shri Pai has served as the Chairman of the Board of SEBI. He has played an important role in the development of IT services industry in India. I must also, on a personal note, acknowledge, and I was privileged to work with him during my tenure as Principal Secretary to Prime Minister. Whenever I faced a problem of the industry, I always went to him. I sincerely believe, and I believe it now more with the numbers of friends who are here, Hi Raisa, who are here, that we are all here to honor Shri M.J. Akbar. The book release is there, but actually, by your presence, our presence, we do want to honor Shri Akbar. He's a distinguished author, journalist, public intellectual, whose many books have focused on social and religious tensions fomented by colonial policy. During his long career in journalism, he launched as the editor of India's first weekly political news magazine. In fact, many of the print media, he has the credit of starting, inaugurating, launching. That is how he is blessed with this. So this Sunday magazine was in 1976, 2 daily newspapers, the Telegraph in 82 and the Asian Age in 1994. He has also been editorial director of India Today and the Sunday Guardian. At this point of time, he is also a mentor to Beyond Channel. He is the author of several internationally acclaimed books, such as Gandhi's Hinduism, The Struggle Against Jinnah's Islam, The Seas Within Nehru, The Making of India, Behind the Veil, Kashmir. Shri Akbar draws on historical archives and contemporary narratives to vividly depict the mass ferment and individual protests that has swept across the subcontinent. The combination of meticulous scholarship with riveting storytelling make Gandhi in 3 campaigns also a remarkably fresh portrait of a timeless icon, our Gandhi. Before I conclude, Shri Rai is here, and let me just briefly introduce why we have got Mr. Rai to speak on the subject. Padma Awardee, Shri Rai is currently the President of India Gandhi National Center of the Arts. He is an eminent Hindi journalist, was editor of Jansatta. His contribution in the field of literature is widely commended. He was closely associated with Jayaprakash Narayan and was detained under Misa during the emergency. So we thought that as a Gandhian who is even now today practicing the values, we must request him to participate here and give his opinion on the book. With these remarks, I conclude with only one observation, that the success of Indian democracy is our tribute to this greatest man born on the earth, which has been now further addressed by the book written by Shri M.J. Akbar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for delivering the welcome address. May I now request the National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister of India, Shri Ajit Doval, to address us. Sir.
Governor Janab Arif Mohammad Khan Sahib, Shri Hardeep Puri, Shri Ram Bahadur Rai ji, Shri Pai, Shri M.J. Akbar और हम सबको जिन्होंने इंट्रोड्यूस कराया श्री नृपेंद्र मिश्रा जी. He has been a great colleague. I thank him for all his kind words. But let me tell you, the man who deserves no introduction, but is too well known, is one of the most efficient and effective bureaucrats that I had known in my career. We had the pleasure of working together, sitting in adjacent rooms in South Block, and I really miss those wonderful days. But anyway, he had been doing much more useful, and I'm happy that he has contributed something in the process for making this Ram Mandir that the country is really proud of. Shri M.J. Akbar has been a great friend whom I have known for decades. I don't have to tell what a great books he writes, that all that he has written is something which is a very permanent contribution to the great literature from various points of view, its intellectual depth, the well-researched that it goes, his ability to look at the things from entirely a new perspective and give us a lot of plenty of food for thought. This latest book on Gandhi, A Life in 3 Campaigns. I have not been able to read it fully. It is so riveting that whenever I opened any page, one didn't feel like keeping it down. But then the compulsions demanded that, well, probably I couldn't read. But I am going to just finish it. But I have read parts of it, and I was deeply impressed by that. He has got a very unique style of expressing himself. It comes so straight. There's a very straight and a simple logic that has got a great intellectual depth. And it is so convincing. He portrays Gandhi not what was being seen on the surface of the things that was happening and the way that he was contributing, but what was happening underneath at a subterranean level of Gandhi as a person. How his personal life was evolving and was taking place, the events in his life are taking place when all these major events, the 3 campaigns of Satyagraha and all these things were going on, the Namak Andolan and others. But then there was something as tumultuous, as important and as the things that was happening in Gandhi's personal life and the way his thinking was getting evolved. He's also a great observer of human behavior. And you could also see that how the personal attributes, how the personal thinking, how the personal compulsions add to the complexities of the life and how did it affect the political thinking and the ways of life of Gandhi, including his belief systems. He starts his book, and which I was deeply impressed with, about the Hindu Swaraj, which taught gospel of love in place of hate, non-violence instead of violence, and challenges brute force with soul force. British called it seditious and banned the book. And the author says that that is what added to its popularity and made it much better known than it would have otherwise been. But now I look at it from different point of view. There is a setting, and it is a colonial setting in which there is a mighty British power, and I think it is one of the most glaring examples of a fight of asymmetric powers, what we call today as an asymmetric warfare. Asymmetric warfare is that what does a weaker partner fight the war? And what are the chances of his success against a much powerful adversity? Probably Gandhi was a great strategician. He could understand and he could just think that in this asymmetrical war, probably his tools will have to be different. After Second World War, as late as this, that people started realizing that the brute force, if it has to be countered, whether there could be other alternatives. And in 90s, the concept of the soft power emerged, which Joseph Nye telling and being applauded as a great propounder of a new theory of power. Your power is your ability to affect your adversary in the way that you want it to be affected. If I want you to do something and you can do what I want you to do, that is the power that I wield over you. Second war and the wars before and after that started proving that the military power, the brute power, is the most cost-ineffective instrument of achieving your political objectives. Whether the Americans could try it in Vietnam or in Afghanistan, or the Soviet Union in Afghanistan and others, they were asymmetric powers, but they found that the lesser power were able to vanquish them. But there are very few examples where the soft power has been able to dominate the hard power of an asymmetry, in an asymmetric warfare. Now, Gandhi was a very perfect practitioner of that. He could realize that his moral force, what we call as the soft power today is your moral force, the force and power of your culture, your civilization, your values and others, that would be able to defeat and vanquish a much more powerful hard power. And now, increasingly much more research and work is being done about how do the great powers start becoming the dominant power by exercising the soft power. And this actually started when in the 90s it appeared that there may be a decline of the major powers, with the Soviet Union disintegrating and the United States emerging as a single power, but being dominated increasingly by the emergence of the new power centers. And that is the time when Joseph Nye came out with this thing that no, the United States would be able to remain afloat and remain buoyant in this power game because of this soft power, and it can multiply its soft power. And in that came the various variants of that. Now look at it, let us take the scenario of the 20s in India, when there's a mighty British power which has got the power of its army, its police, its laws, its judiciary, the entire global this thing was under its control, and there was a man with no resources to match it. He had nothing. That is the time when he thought that if he could mobilize the moral soul, the moral power, the soul power as he called it, and make it an instrument of, weaponize it, weaponizing your power of your moral strength to defeat a mighty empire. Probably to most, it would have looked impossible, even in much later decades. But even at that time, the fact that he had the faith and he had the confidence that it can challenge and it can achieve what he wanted to achieve against his adversary. Today, it may look to us something, we take it for given because this has happened in history. Probably after that, it happened in South Africa. So there have been a couple of other examples that followed. But there are very few examples, at least I could find none, where the soft power of that time could distinguish as mighty a power as the British Empire, and so effectively. He not only fought it effectively, but he won it. And this power game itself is a matter which probably is a matter of research. If somebody could write the District of Gandhi about my experiments with soft power, and then redefine what Joseph Nye and the various stream of philosophers thereafter had talked about the soft power, and not only the soft power, the modern version of it which is coming as a smart power. That is, you combine the soft power and the hard power in such a permutation, combination, alternations and different combinations, that is, you are able to achieve the optimum result. I'm not very sure how much Gandhi really consciously was fully opposed to the people who were exercised the hard power. He did not support them. He did not stand by them. But probably he was not that much against both. Let it coexist. He was not also against probably some of the revolutionaries. He did not approve their ways, but he did not condemn them, both for their intent and for this thing. It added that soft power blended with this hard power, actually became the India's smart power. And it has this India's smart power that in the post-war period, the Britishers thought that probably with so many Indians who had returned victorious after the Second World War and probably were resentful because of the Gandhi's message and the Gandhi's this thing that they had changed the whole thinking in the country, that these troops may not remain as loyal to them as the Britishers thought them to be. And therefore, with the uprising in Karachi, this thing, then in Jabalpur and in other places, when the small things started and the INA's things started coming up, that combination of hard power and small soft power, which became the India's smart power of that time, which eventually was responsible for its victory against an adversary. So what a great strategician and what a great warrior he was of his time, who could think straight, who could think something much beyond his times, and who could effectively use that power so effectively against a very, very mighty power. So I think this is a very great tribute to this thing. And this idea comes out of Mr. Akbar's book when we go through that and we see that how in his very, very inimitable way and very, very ordinary way, how could he achieve those extraordinary results. And what a great warrior and what a great man of conviction he was. The same thing comes out when we see about how his belief system was shaping his ideology, was shaping his political choices and the preferences that he made and the decisions that he took. So I think this is a time to pay tribute, of course, to the great Mahatma who took this country not only to its independence, but gave it an identity of which we all are proud today. But I must also say that it's a great tribute to Mr. Akbar's this thing today that is written, a book on Mahatma, which probably you all will enjoy reading. It's a very, very enjoyable reading. It's something that we probably can draw various lessons in the way that we want. And I must congratulate once again the publishers and the author for the great book and this thing that he has written. All the best to you, Mr. Akbar.
Thank you very much, sir, for addressing us. And in a way, summing up the life and achievements of Gandhiji, may I now request the Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas and Housing and Urban Affairs, Shri Hardeep Puri ji, to address us.
Thank you very much. I don't present myself here today as a member of the Council of Ministers, but I present myself here today and I echo the words of Mishra ji, who said that we are gathered here to honor Shri M.J. Akbar. Not only is he a friend of long standing, but I think apart from honoring Shri Akbar, we are also honoring scholarship today. I've had the privilege of reading, I'm reasonably confident, all his contributions. Even during the course of travels into rural Karnataka and Kerala in the last few days, I also had the opportunity to leaf through his latest contribution, which is going to add to a growing bookshelf of Akbar's, MJ's intellectual contributions to the literary word. I'm very pleased and I'm honored to join such eminence. The Honorable Governor, whom I have had the privilege of knowing for many years, in his earlier avatars. Nripinder Mishra ji has been both a mentor and a guide. The National Security Advisor is somebody who's, I have a claim to his affection, and therefore I will not say more. Shri Ram Bahadur Rai ji and I work on some projects, and of course, Shri Mohandas Pai. But let me, if I have your permission, respond to one or two points that the distinguished Natwar Singh ji made in the foreword. We are missing him here today, and I join others in wishing him the very best of health. But one of the questions he raises is, why should someone need to write a book on the Mahatma when I think he mentions a figure 11,000 have already been written? Seems a relevant question, but then he goes on to say, perhaps Gandhi is being forgotten by the generation. And this is a pontificatory note. Most of us who are growing old strike, I also do it, as if my generation was more Gandhian and the next one is less Gandhian. I don't think that's the case. On the first one, on 11,000 books and which have been written on this great, one of the greatest human beings, whoever has ever influenced men and events, I would say that there are still aspects to Gandhi which need to be understood and understood in perspective. And I think MJ's attempt to look at Gandhi through these three campaigns is also a spotlight on the evolving Gandhi. I was once put in my place. Many people have put me in my place over a long 40 years in the Foreign Service, 6 years outside think tanking, another 7 years here. But I think it was a South African ambassador to the UN, Baso Sanko, if I remember his name was, particularly sharp and erudite friend of mine. I was taking great pride when I joined in New York as permanent representative, and we had decided, in pursuance of the UN's decision, to celebrate 2nd October as International Day of Nonviolence. And I had, I think, called Ramachandra Guha and called some other artists, and we had a very good function. And I was perhaps in a slightly celebratory mood. I said something about how Gandhi represented, and I said some nice things which all the previous speakers have been saying. And he said, listen, my friend, come here. He said, you guys, meaning you Indians, sent us an English-educated barrister. I almost froze in my, this thing, because I knew what was coming. He said, the gentleman you sent us went to University College London, got his law degree, was called to the bar in a temple, and then you sent him to us, and then we made a Mahatma out of it. So I must say, Gandhi does not just belong to us, but I think we are doing more to reclaim and to focus on what the Gandhian essential message is that has ever been done earlier, and for that I salute a lot of people, and I come to that. Akbar's 3 campaigns start in the 20s, 20s, 30s, and 40s. But there were campaigns before that as well. And one of those campaigns I happen to be associated with in a very vigorous way. Gandhiji went around Varanasi and then delivered a speech at the Banaras Hindu College in 1916. And I looked at what exactly he said then. Now, remember, 1916 was well before independence was on the political calendar amongst those who were going to work on it later. And he said then, and I'm just trying to locate that quote, something that deeply affected people then, but we didn't do too much about it, till the Honorable Prime Minister as Chief Minister of Gujarat, resurrected that, made a campaign out of it, and then in 2014, we had this announced from the ramparts of the Red Fort, when the Honorable Prime Minister said that the greatest tribute that we can pay to the father of the nation is to make India open defecation free by the time we celebrate his 150th birth anniversary, which was 2nd October 2019. And I think we were able to do it by 2019 with the exception of one state, even that's been done now. But I just want to read out the quote, which he said. The Mahatma visited the city of Kashi in 1916 to address a gathering of students in various colleges, including the Banaras Hindu University. Disturbed by the filth he saw on the streets of the city and in its famous Vishwanath temple, he famously said, "Is it right that the lanes," and I quote him, "is it right that the lanes of our sacred temple should be as dirty as they are? The lanes are tortuous and narrow. If even our temples are not models of roominess and cleanliness, what can our self-government be?" And I think that is the intellectual spark which lit that consciousness. And when the Honorable Prime Minister in 2014 gave that as a clarion call, a lot of my friends, I don't like using political categorizations, but let's say, for want of a better term, the so-called liberal wings of our friendships, they said, you know, is this an issue to be taken up from the ramparts of the Red Fort? So I had then asked, and what is the issue to be taken up? Pakistan ki baat kare. Arre bhai, this is the most fundamental. And yesterday we had the 8th edition of the Swachhta Sarvekshan, which carried out a competitive process of 4,900 of our cities and urban local bodies. And in that, 12 crore people participated. The assessors went to 1 lakh installations, and then cities were ranked according to that. This is, again, a pre-campaign which my friend Akbar, his 3 campaigns, and I would add this. There are several other aspects to Mahatma Gandhi which are beautifully brought out in this elegantly crafted book. One is Gandhi's sense of humor. And 3 of the examples that Akbar gives, 2 have been ones I've been giving for a long time. The 3rd one, I think, is when Kasturba puts him in his place and says, you know, yet another... But I think when asked his views on Western civilization, the Mahatma replies almost effortlessly, would be a great idea. Then when he goes to, I think it was a 1930 conference or 31 conference, and he is, for the London weather, somewhat underdressed, and asked, he said, well, the Emperor George...
This was when he was called for the official royal reception.
The royal reception.
And the English insisted that he wear a suit.
Yeah.
But couldn't go in a dhoti.
Yeah, but also, he also said, he said that His Majesty had enough for both of us. When he came out, he said, yeah.
The journalist asked him that, were you properly dressed? So he said, no, don't worry.
Don't worry.
The emperor had
Enough clothes on for both of us. So I think, you know, there is something to the man and his simplicity. But what strikes me, and I don't want to take up more time, is that Gandhi is also capable till today of being underestimated, deliberately misrepresented, but the contribution that that man makes and the manner in which he makes it, again, without wanting to score a political point, well, you know, a lot of people contributed immensely to the process which resulted in India's independence in 1947. English-educated lawyers starting in 1885, Annie Besant, A.O. Hume, number of people. But I don't think the process would have turned out the way it did in terms of the results it produced had it not been for this man who realized that in order to make a movement like that successful, you have to create that umbilical link between lawyers and a mass movement. And I think Akbar's 3 campaigns bring that out very well. And I want to conclude by an experience I had when I just finished at the university, I was applying for a job. And in those days, perhaps even today, interviews for young aspirants turned out to be intellectual slugfest between the guy interviewing and the person. I was fortunate I had a man called R.S. Sharma, head of history department, who was interviewing me for one of the Delhi University college history jobs. So he wanted to provoke me. And in his typical, he was a good Bhumiyar from Bihar, in his typical style, he asked me, and what are your views on Gandhi? So I was effusive. I said, the man did this, the man did that. You know, he is something that we owe an immense debt of gratitude to. And then in order to provoke me, he said, but you know, at the end of the day, he was a banya. So I was a little taken aback. I said, how do I respond to this? No, he's not referring to his guys. Basically what he was saying is, he would mount a campaign, he would gather, galvanize people, and then he would negotiate with the state system. And if the demands were met, well and good. If the demands were not to be met, he would be, you know, sent into state hospitality for a while. And this is the third example of, you know, when he was wanting to starve and Kasturbaji went and, you know, handled that situation. But then my answer to him, I think, is what? I think he thought I was cheeky, but got me the job. I said, what would you rather have had? I said, if you want a revolutionary overthrow of a system, then the forces fighting the state system must be stronger than the state. I said, do you seriously believe at that time there was an alternative? He said, you have a point. But that is Gandhi's great success. He knew the reality of India. He knew how to turn it. And I think the beauty of studying Gandhi today, and you could probably have another 11,000 books, because the transformation that India required, Gandhi was the one man who understood it. And that some of that transformation we are still undergoing under very able leadership. But I just want to say, MJ, I'm so happy that you have another book. Don't confine yourself to just writing books. You know, that scholarship should be used also in more public comment, etc. And all I can say is that this book will add to the growing bookshelf. And I wish you and all the success. Thank you, Mishra ji, for making this event possible. Thank you, Doval ji, Honorable Governor, for taking time off. Rai ji and my friend Mr. Mohandas Pai. Thank you all very much for including me, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for addressing us. May I now request Shri... May I now request Shri Ram Bahadur Rai, President, Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts, to address us. Sir. ये आपके लिए मैंने खोल के
इस समारोह के मुख्य अतिथि माननीय आरिफ मोहम्मद खान साहब, आदरणीय नृपेंद्र मिश्र जी, माननीय डॉक्टर हरदीप पुरी जी, श्री एमजे अकबर, अजीत डोभाल जी, श्री टीवी मोहनदास पई और समारोह में उपस्थित सज्जनों और मित्रों, महात्मा गांधी के 3 महाअभियानों पर केंद्रित यह पुस्तक एक त्रिकोण बनाती है। असहयोग आंदोलन, नमक सत्याग्रह, करेंगे या मरेंगे, ये त्रिकोण है महात्मा गांधी का। बिना 3 रेखाओं के कोई त्रिकोण नहीं बनता है, और महात्मा गांधी के त्रिकोण का जो शिखर है वो स्वराज है, स्वतंत्रता है। पुस्तक है गांधी ए लाइफ इन 3 कैंपेन्स। अब पुस्तक जब आपके हाथ में आएगी तो आप देखेंगे कि हिंदी में ऊपर गांधी लिखा हुआ है और अंग्रेजी में गांधी ए लाइफ इन 3 कैंपेन्स है। ये नामकरण मैं समझता हूँ कि एमजे अकबर साहब की गहरी समझ का द्योतक है। गहरी समझ मैं इसलिए कह रहा हूँ क्योंकि गांधी जी और महात्मा ये 3 शब्द हैं, और ये जब सवाल गांधी जी के जाने के बाद आया कि हम गांधी जी को किस रूप में याद करें, किस रूप में संबोधित करें, तो लोगों ने विनोबा से सवाल पूछा और विनोबा ने कहा कि अगर गांधी को आप व्यक्ति मानते हैं तो आप गांधी जी कहिए, अगर गांधी को आप विचार मानते हैं तो गांधी कहिए, और गांधी को अगर आप महापुरुष और महात्मा मानते हैं तो महात्मा कहिए। श्री एमजे अकबर ने अपनी किताब को गांधी के रूप में रखा है, महात्मा के रूप में भी नहीं और गांधी जी के रूप में भी नहीं। अब ये गांधी एक विचारधारा है, और वह विचारधारा 3 अभियानों में कैसे काम कर रही थी, किन परिस्थितियों में काम कर रही थी, क्या बाधाएं थी, क्या चुनौतियां थी, और उसमें भी महात्मा गांधी ने या गांधी ने कैसे रास्ता बनाया, इसका वर्णन इस पुस्तक में आपको तीनों अध्यायों में बहुत बारीकी से मिलता है। और ये पुस्तक निष्कर्ष रूप में हमको यह बताती है कि अपने 3 अनोखे महाअभियानों में महात्मा गांधी ने दुनिया के सबसे ताकतवर साम्राज्य को उखाड़ फेंका। यही इस पुस्तक का निष्कर्ष है। असहयोग आंदोलन से, और ये पुस्तक 3 अध्यायों में है, उससे पहले मुझसे जिन लोगों ने पहले बोला है उन्होंने भी उल्लेख किया है। मैं भी कहना चाहता हूँ कि कुंवर नटवर सिंह जी ने फॉरवर्ड लिखा है, और उसको पूरी पुस्तक मैंने उनका फॉरवर्ड सहित 242 पेज की ये पुस्तक है, मैंने अक्षरशः पढ़ा है, बहुत ध्यान से पढ़ा है। कई जगह जहाँ मेरी गाड़ी अटकी तो मैंने गांधी वाङ्मय भी देखा। कुंवर नटवर सिंह ने, जैसा कि हरदीप पुरी जी ने ये बात कही कि गांधी जी पर 11,000 किताबें हैं, तो एक नई किताब की क्या ज़रूरत है। ये कुंवर नटवर सिंह सवाल उठा करके यह नहीं कहते हैं कि इसकी ज़रूरत नहीं है, बल्कि वे हम सब लोगों को यह बताते हैं कि एमजे अकबर की किताब की ज़रूरत बहुत विशेष है और इसीलिए ये पुस्तक है। उन्होंने ये कहा है कि क्यों ज़रूरत है, क्योंकि नई पीढ़ी गांधी जी से विमुख हो रही है, और ये हमारा दुर्भाग्य होगा और देश का भी दुर्भाग्य होगा कि गांधी से नई पीढ़ी, भावी पीढ़ी विमुख हो। तो ये जो इस पुस्तक के जो 3 अध्याय हैं, पहला अध्याय है असहयोग आंदोलन पर। मैंने जो समझा है, और मैं समझता हूँ कि आप भी इससे सहमत होंगे, कि जो पहला असहयोग आंदोलन था उसकी कई तरह से चर्चा होती है। जैसे मान लीजिए 1922 में गांधी जी ने उसको स्थगित कर दिया या वापस ले लिया, क्योंकि चौरी चौरा का कांड हो गया था। तो बहुत सारे लोग अब उस पर सवाल उठाते हैं, तब भी उठाया था, आज भी उठाते हैं। लेकिन उस आंदोलन का जो सबसे बड़ा परिणाम निकला, उसे आज 2023-24 में भी हमें याद करना चाहिए कि भारत, उस आंदोलन से ही भारत भयमुक्त हुआ, अभय हुआ। और उस आंदोलन से जो अभय निकला, उसे एमजी अकबर की किताब बहुत ढंग से बताती है, प्रमाण सहित बताती है। उसी तरह से दूसरा, और गांधी जी के आंदोलन का एक पैटर्न है, हर आंदोलन की तैयारी वो 10 साल करते हैं। अगर आपको भी किसी सरकार के खिलाफ आंदोलन चलाना हो तो रोज मत आंदोलन करिए। इस किताब से ये भी बात निकलती है कि जरा 10 साल की आप तैयारी तो करिए, और 10 साल की तैयारी के बाद उसी तरह की तपस्या करिए जैसा गांधी ने किया। तो जो दूसरा आंदोलन है, उसके किस्से अगर आप सुने या पढ़ें तो आपको आश्चर्य होगा। लाहौर कांग्रेस के पूर्ण स्वराज्य के फैसले के बाद और पूर्ण स्वराज्य का जो प्रस्ताव था, वो गांधी जी का ड्राफ्ट किया हुआ था। और मैं जहाँ तक जानता हूँ, कांग्रेस के 1920 से लेकर 1948 तक जो भी प्रस्ताव हैं, उसको उन प्रस्तावों को गांधी जी ने ही ड्राफ्ट किया था। नमक सत्याग्रह की जब बात उन्होंने की तो उसके बड़े किस्से हैं, समय कम है इसलिए मैं उसमें नहीं जाऊंगा। मैं केवल यह कहना चाहता हूं कि नमक सत्याग्रह से जैसे पहले से अभय निकला, उसी तरह से नमक सत्याग्रह से भारत में हर आदमी जो उस समय था, उसके मन में स्वतंत्रता का संकल्प पैदा हुआ, स्वतंत्रता की अदम्य इच्छा पैदा हुई, ऐसी अभिक्षा पैदा हुई कि हम अपनी आज़ादी लेकर रहेंगे। और इसलिए सरोजिनी नायडू जैसी महिला धरासना के सत्याग्रह का नेतृत्व करती है, और एक अमेरिकन पत्रकार आया था यहाँ संस्कृति का अध्ययन करने, लेकिन वो धरासना के सत्याग्रह के बाद उसने भारत के पक्ष में एक किताब लिखी। मैं जानता हूँ। मैं रवि मिश्रा जी का आदेश पालन करूंगा, लेकिन थोड़ा कम। मेरी बात मैं पूरी करता हूं जल्दी। और तीसरे आंदोलन से करेंगे या मरेंगे, उसका स्लोगन था। और पहली बार किसी अंग्रेजी की किताब में उस गांधी जी ने जो कहा था वो शब्दशः आया है, करेंगे या मरेंगे। डू और डाई अंग्रेजी में कहा जाता है, लेकिन गांधी जी ने कहा था करेंगे या मरेंगे। और मैं एमजे अकबर जी को इस बात के लिए बधाई भी देता हूँ, धन्यवाद भी करता हूँ कि आपने सही शब्द का इस्तेमाल किया है। और नई पीढ़ी इस शब्द को जब सीखेगी तो 1942 जैसा आंदोलन निकलेगा। लेकिन इन तीनों आंदोलनों के बाद आज़ादी मिली, पर देश बट गया। और जब देश बट गया है तो उसके कारण की मीमांसा इस किताब में जिस तरह से की गई है, वह दूसरी जगह कम मिलता है। इस कारण महात्मा गांधी पर बहुत सारे प्रश्न भी खड़े किए जा रहे हैं, आजकल ज़्यादा किया जा रहा है। और सोशल मीडिया से ऐसे ऐसे भयानक असुर पैदा हो रहे हैं। असुर माने राक्षस होता है, कि एक देवासुर संग्राम की स्थिति इस देश में पैदा हो गई है। और श्री एम.जे. अकबर इस पुस्तक में देवताओं की ओर से खड़े हैं। मतलब मैं कहना चाहता हूं कि असुरों का मुकाबला कर रहे हैं। और ये पुस्तक सचमुच असुरों के मुकाबले के लिए ही रामबाण सिद्ध हो सकती है या ब्रह्मास्त्र सिद्ध हो सकती है। इस पुस्तक में लेकिन इस पुस्तक की एक और विशेषता है। एम.जे. अकबर यहाँ सशरीर उपस्थित हैं। इस पुस्तक में वो हैं ही नहीं। जब आप पुस्तक पढ़ेंगे तो आप पाएंगे कि एम.जे. अकबर अनुपस्थित हैं परंतु उपस्थित भी हैं। और कैसे हैं? तो गांधी जी खुद इस पुस्तक में बोल रहे हैं और उनके बोलने के बाद श्री एम.जे. अकबर का एक वाक्य उस पूरी कहानी को उस तरह से बता देता है जैसे आपके मर्म को छूता हो। तो मैं ये कहूँगा कि गांधी जी यज्ञ कर रहे हैं और गांधी जी के वाङ्मय के माध्यम से एम.जे. अकबर इस पुस्तक को बता रहे हैं। और अंत में एम.जे. अकबर जो बोलते हैं उसको मैं परंपरागत शब्दों में कहूँगा कि जब यज्ञ होता है तो जो यजमान होता है वो कहता है स्वाहा, तो एम.जे. अकबर अंत में कहते हैं स्वाहा। और इस तरह से जैसे पेज नंबर 52 में एक वाक्य है जिसका मैं हिंदी अनुवाद कर रहा हूँ और बहुत गजब का वाक्य है। लिखते हैं कि सारे उद्धरण और प्रमाण देने के बाद लिखते हैं कि शांति कायम हुई लेकिन समाधान नहीं। उसी तरह से एक दूसरा नमूना भी है। भारत व्याधिग्रस्त है, चरखा औषधि है। ये एम.जे. अकबर साहब के वाक्य हैं। और सचमुच चरखा तब भी औषधि था, आज भी औषधि है। जो बूढ़े लोग हैं जिनका हाथ कांपता है, मैं भी उन लोगों में से शामिल होने वाला हूँ, उनको चरखा दे दीजिए तो ध्यान करने की उनको ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ेगी, चरखे से ही उनके का स्वास्थ्य ठीक हो जाएगा। मैं ये कहूँगा कि ये नटवर सिंह जी ने बहुत सुंदर और सटीक शब्दों में उन्होंने जो रखा है उसका मतलब ये है कि गांधी पर किताबें हैं लेकिन पानी बीच मीन प्यासी। तो पानी बीच जो मीन प्यासी है उस मीन को अब प्यासा नहीं रहना पड़ेगा, ये पुस्तक उसे उसकी प्यास बुझाएगी। महात्मा गांधी को नाम से जानना काफ़ी नहीं है, ये नटवर सिंह जी कह रहे हैं। नई पीढ़ी को पूरी तरह गांधी को जानना चाहिए। और उन्होंने फिर जवाब भी दिया है कि क्या यह पुस्तक इस लक्ष्य को पूरा करती है, तो उन्होंने कहा कि हाँ। और इसीलिए ये ग्रंथ और शास्त्र नहीं है, ये मैं कहना चाहता हूँ। ये उपन्यास शैली में लिखी गई, बड़े परिश्रम से लिखी गई ऐसी पुस्तक है जो गांधी जी की कहानी उनकी जुबानी कह रही है। कई स्तरों पर इसको आप जब पढ़ेंगे तो इसको कई स्तरों पर आप पढ़ सकते हैं या पढ़ा जा सकता है। घटनाक्रम देखना चाहें तो वो सब है इसमें। व्यक्तित्व देखना चाहें तो उस आंदोलन के तमाम चेहरे आपको मिल जाएंगे, उनकी करतूतें या उनके अच्छे काम मिल जाएंगे, दाव पेच मिल जाएंगे, कूटनीति मिल जाएगी, समस्याएं मिल जाएंगी, स्वतंत्रता की राहें कैसे खुलती थी, कैसे बंद होती थी, ये भी मिल जाएगा। और मैं ये कहूँगा कि ये इस पुस्तक में एक समानुभूति है। समानुभूति शब्द का अर्थ यहाँ अंग्रेजीदा बैठे हुए लोग नहीं समझेंगे, लेकिन हिंदी वाले समझेंगे। जब एक ही विचार पर दो लोगों की समान तरह से सोच होती है तो वो समानुभूति होती है। एम.जे. अकबर और नटवर सिंह की समानुभूति से ये पुस्तक पैदा हुई है। और मैं ये कहूँगा कि गांधी को अगर जानना हो तो आप आकाश में देखिए, जैसे आकाश अनंत है वैसे गांधी अनंत हैं। और गांधी व्यक्ति को देखना है तो गीता में श्री कृष्ण कहते हैं अर्जुन को गुणातीत, एक बताते हैं वो 14वें अध्याय में, गुणातीत का अर्थ होता है जो रजोगुण से, तमोगुण से, सतोगुण से ऊपर जो चला गया है वो गुणातीत है। माने जो जिसको कोई गुण बाधता नहीं, और महात्मा गांधी ऐसे ही लोगों में से थे जिनको कोई गुण बाधता नहीं था, और इसलिए वे निर्मम भी हो सकते थे, वो दयालु भी हो सकते थे, वो करुणावान भी हो सकते थे। राजनीति, लेकिन यह पुस्तक, मैं ये मानता हूँ और मैं ये कहता भी रहा हूँ कि महात्मा गांधी को आप मत समझिए, आप गांधी को समझिए, गांधी विचारधारा को समझिए, और गांधी को जब आप समझेंगे तो उस गांधी को समझने की ज़रूरत है आज भी और उस समय भी जो राजनीतिज्ञ गांधी है, जो राजनेता नहीं बनना चाहता लेकिन राजनीति को सुधारना चाहता है। और राजनीति को सुधारने के लिए 2024 में भी गांधी के सपने से जोड़ना जरूरी है। ये पुस्तक अपने पाठकों को और पाठकों से बाहर की दुनिया को भी उस गांधी से जोड़ेगी जो गांधी का सपना था। इस पुस्तक में गांधी के सपने की चर्चा नहीं है, उस गांधी की चर्चा है जिसने आज़ादी दिलाई। लेकिन उससे ही उतना अगर आप पढ़ लेते हैं तो आप गांधी के उस सपने से भी जुड़ेंगे जो ग्राम स्वराज का सपना था, जो दरअसल स्वराज का सपना था। और मैं ये पाता हूँ कि स्वतंत्रता, स्वराज और स्वराज, ये तीन शब्द हैं। आज आज़ादी की लड़ाई में स्वराज स्वतंत्रता से संबंधित था, लेकिन आज स्वराज एक दार्शनिक शब्द है, एक सांस्कृतिक अर्थ लिए हुए शब्द है, और इसलिए गांधी का पर्याय है स्वराज। यानी राजनीति भी ठीक होनी चाहिए, समाज भी ठीक होना चाहिए, हिंदू मुस्लिम संबंध भी ठीक होना चाहिए, एक सांस्कृतिक एकता, सांस्कृतिक पुनरुत्थान गांधी का सपना था। और उस सपने से मैं समझता हूँ कि ये पुस्तक आपको रूबरू कराती है। गांधी जी का जो अंतिम उपवास है वो सांप्रदायिक सद्भाव के लिए है। और आप सब जानते हैं, इस पुस्तक में भी है कि 116-17 लोगों ने, जो सभी धर्मों के थे, उन्होंने लिख करके गांधी जी को कहा कि आप अपना उपवास तोड़िए, और उन्होंने तोड़ा। तो मैं ये कहूँगा कि जो हमारे पुरखों ने वचन दिया था उस वचन को याद करें। और मैं इस तरह से इस पुस्तक के बारे में जो मैं सोचता हूँ, और रवि मिश्रा जी का जो अनुशासन है, वो दोनों का ख्याल करके मैं अपनी बात पूरी करता हूँ। अंत में एमजे अकबर जी को मैं एक सुझाव भी देता हूँ। सुझाव ये है कि असावधानी हुई है, पेज नंबर 1 पर और पेज नंबर 82 पर हिंद स्वराज का जहाँ जिक्र है, आपने हिंद स्वराज को 1908 में लिखा हुआ बताया है, वो लिखा गया है 1909 में। नहीं, वो भी बता देता हूँ। गांधी जी 1909 में लंदन गए थे और बाकायदे लंदन से वापस आते समय 13 नवंबर 1909 से लेकर 22 नवंबर 1909 तक हाथ से उन्होंने उस जहाज के स्टेशनरी पर 264 पेज लिखे। दाहिने हाथ थक गया तो बाएं हाथ से लिखा। गुजराती मूल हिंद स्वराज अगर आप देखेंगे तो लिखावट में फ़र्क है। तो मैं ये कहूँगा कि पेज नंबर 1 और पेज नंबर 82 पर जो आपने 1908 लिखा है उसको अगली बार सुधारें। मैं अपनी बात पूरी करता हूँ।
धन्यवाद सर। धन्यवाद सर। May I now request we are running very late in our schedule, and therefore a slight change would be required. The Honorable Governor Kerala, our chief guest today, sir has to take a flight, and therefore, yes, I would like to, invite him now, the Honorable Governor, to address us. Sir.
No problem, sir. No problem.
Honorable Union Minister Shri Hardeep Puri ji, Shri Nirpendra Mishra ji, Shri M.J. Akbar, Shri Mohandas Pai, Shri Ram Bahadur Rai ji, ladies and gentlemen, I have great pleasure in attending this event which has been organized to release Gandhi, A Life in Three Campaigns by Shri M.J. Akbar. I had the chance to go through this book not in as detail as Ram Bahadur Rai ji has gone into, but have read first chapter fully and then some other parts also. And I feel that this is a work of profound scholarship, an exhaustive survey of Gandhiji's thoughts and his unique strategy to translate the thoughts into action, covering three major campaigns of his life. The book is an in-depth inquiry of the saintly, or I should say, mythical personality of naked fakir, whom we fondly call Bapu, who dismantled the mightiest empire in world history through mass campaigns, inspired and bound. There was certain maryada also. Campaigns inspired and bound by truth and non-violence. It is my earnest hope and desire that the book will be read widely, and I am confident that it will help the readers to understand the flow of events and spirit of our freedom movement. When we use the word campaign in the modern context, our minds meander into the world of public relations, which uses persuasion as the key to attract popular attention and acceptance. A recent book on the art of persuasion and power of reputation calls Gandhiji arguably, and I'm quoting, arguably the greatest public relations icon of all time, and the Dandi March as the most well-planned campaign of all time. Gandhiji's methodology involved 3 steps: enabling people to identify with a cause which transcended all divisive boundaries, to have a powerful symbol like charkha, khadi, or salt,
and thirdly, to manifest his ideas in actions through events that captured the attention of the nation, nay, the whole world. Above all, Gandhiji ensured that all activities were smoothly communicated to the masses in a systematic manner. It was a world without internet and television, and we can only marvel at his achievements. Of all the prophets of humanity, Gandhiji seems to have been the most fortunate. No other succeeded in his lifetime as Gandhiji did in spreading his ideas and working them out on a vast canvas. None succeeded so well as he did in choosing the fields of politics, nationalism, and internationalism for the political application of his spiritual message. Starting his career in the oppressed continent in Africa, he sensed the racial character of the world conflicts. He expounded the spiritual concept of human fraternity and the necessity of cultivating the power of spirit or power of soul, Hon'ble, to oppose the might of the empire based on racism and armed with power of science, money, and worldwide organization. Gandhi returned to India from South Africa at a juncture when Europe was locked in a gigantic struggle of arms and India was groping in darkness due to lack of leadership and a sense of frustration. Gandhiji, the inheritor of the spiritual legacy of India, the interpreter of India's ancient yet dynamic culture, and the prophet of a new humanism, assumed the leadership of the country and gradually collected all the scattered forces, spiritual, cultural, economic, intellectual, to guide them into a national movement for the rediscovery and reassertion of Indian soul. After Adi Shankar, who more than 1,000 years back had successfully created a new awareness about the cultural and spiritual unity in the then politically fragmented India, Gandhi was the first to transform that cultural and spiritual oneness into political unity and employed this new unity to give a determined fight to powerful British Empire through non-violent means. Here one may ask the question, what was the source of the extraordinary strength of Mahatma Gandhi, which enabled him to exercise such tremendous influence over the minds and hearts of Indians and win freedom for India? A study of Mahatma Gandhi reveals that he was deeply anchored in Indian spiritual and cultural values and ideals which view a person not in terms of the variable and alienable characteristics like race, religion, language, or community, but Indian culture views a person in terms of the invariable and inalienable characteristic that is Atma, the soul. Centuries cultures which are defined by race or religion, any civilization or culture which is defined by race or culture creates others, because many people are left outside. Those who do not have the same color skin, or those who do not subscribe to the same faith tradition, they are left outside and they become others. Whereas culture defined by Atma is all inclusive. And at least in theory, it does not leave out anyone, including animals, birds, plants, or even rocks, as objects meant for exploitation. When we accept the basic principle of the shining truth of the divine nature of man as Atma, soul, as outlined by the Vedanta, we discover a new focus of human freedom, dignity, equality, and redemption built into themselves and waiting only to be discovered and unfolded. This awareness inspires and guides to produce stable and peaceful men and women of strong moral conviction. Through spiritual growth, they become focus of human virtues, including justice and compassion. It is through such persons alone that a society becomes just and grows to its full potential. These individuals, imbued with the spirit of compassion, are described in Indian tradition as dheer, who display the virtues of intelligence, courage, and steely resolve. Bhartari Hari, in his Niti Shatak, has sung the glory of dheers in the following words: Nindantu niti nipun yadiva istuvantu, Lakshmi sama vistu gachatu, va yatheshtam, Adya deva va maranamastu, yugantareva, Niyai yat pathat pirvi chalanti padam nadhira. Let jurist blame or praise, let Lakshmi come or go away as she pleases. Let death come just now or after 100 years. The dheer never deviate from the path of Nyaya, that is justice or righteousness. And what is the source of extraordinary strength of the dheers? Is it physical power, bahubal? No. Is it arthik bal, economic power? No. It is intellectual power? The reply is, even that is not the source of their strength. All these powers are important. But other than these, the Indian tradition recognizes a power which is superior to these powers, and that is Atmbal or Naitik Bal or Yogic Bal, the moral or spiritual power which is common heritage of mankind. It is not any esoteric or magical power, but the strength of character and conviction driving from the unfolding of the divine in the heart of man. Swami Vivekananda has described this phenomena as the manifestation of divinity that already exists in man. The Kena Upanishad proclaims that this Atmbal, the moral power, this energy is acquired through the knowledge of self, that is Atmagyan or Brahmagyan, and it says Atmana Vindate Viryam. It is the knowledge of the self which endows you with power. It is these men of extraordinary virtue, Dheer Purush, who have the power and potential to take the nation on the path of power and progress. The secret of extraordinary power of strength or power of Mahatma Gandhi was definitely rooted in his Atmbal. The London Times, after the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi, the tribute which was paid by London Times, I would like to quote there. The Times said, "No country but India and no religion but Hinduism could have given birth to a Gandhi. The sterling virtue of the sterling virtue of the Dheer Purush is marked by singleness of purpose and complete concentration on a particular object, regardless of distractions from outside. And in our tradition, in the Indian tradition, the simile of a girl dancing on rope has been used to describe the Dheer Purush. Punkhanupunk Vishayan Upaseva Manu. Dhiro na munchati mukunda padar vindam. Sangeet vadde le tal vasham gatapi. Maulistha kumbha parirakshana dheer nativ. Just as the dancing girl has her attention fixed on the water pot she carries on her head, even when she is dancing to various tunes, so also a truly pious soul does not give up his attention to the blissful feet of the Supreme Lord, even when he attends to his many chores. Gandhiji's commitment to Hindu ideals shaped his philosophy and approach. He drew inspiration from Bhagavad Gita and believed in the power of love and compassion in fostering social and political change. His faith in these ideals extended to the principles of truth, self-discipline, non-violence, and selfless service. Eko dharma param shreya, chameka shanti ruttama, vidyeka parama tirapti, ahinseka sukhavaha. Dharma, that is performance of one's ordained duties, alone is the greatest. Forgiveness and reconciliation, the best way to peace. Knowledge alone brings supreme satisfaction, and non-violence ensures happiness. As early as 1921, writing in Young India, Gandhi said, "I call myself a Sanatani Hindu," which refers to an unbroken and timeless Indian tradition. He wrote in Harijan in 1937, "I have now come to the conclusion that if all the Upanishads and all other Indian scriptures happened all of a sudden to be reduced to ashes, and if only the first verse of the Ishopanishad were left intact in the memory, the Hindu religion would live forever." And this favorite line of his from Ishopanishad was, "Isha vasse midam sarvam yat kinch jagtyam jagat ten tyakten bhunji tha ma girdha kasse suidhanam," which means that God pervades the entire universe, not just this tiny planet of ours in which we inhabit, but every particle in the, and today the right word is not universe, the multiverse. God pervades everything in the this multiverse. Therefore, do not, and everything belongs to God. Therefore, do not try to say that you own something. Just have the feeling of renunciation, and whatever comes your way, enjoy it. Do not covet the possessions of others. To him, the rest of the Upanishads or even Bhagavad Gita was merely a commentary on this verse, which this also showed Gandhi's faith in aparigraha, to which Gandhiji's moral compass was set. Shri M.J. Akbar has also in the book has written that Gandhiji's preferred text was Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which he described as his spiritual dictionary. All of us would recall that 3 years ago, Akbar Sahab had authored a book that touched upon the epic confrontation between Mahatma Gandhi and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Title of the book was Gandhi's Hinduism, the Struggle Against Jinnah's Islam. What Shri Akbar explained therein was that the Gandhian assurance about faith nurturing harmony among compatriots was anchored in the ancient cultural values of India, which right from the remotest times have viewed diversity implying both acceptance and coexistence, and has believed that diversity itself can be a source of strength, and that all people should not be confined to one single interpretation of reality. Right from the beginning of our civilizational journey, India made the proclamation of an eternal verity, that the truth is one, but is perceived as many. Ekam sad vipra bahuda vadanti. All Indian scriptures have endorsed this proclamation and have asserted that it is ignorance of the self, it is lack of Atmagyan that creates the illusion of duality. Otherwise, the Jivatma itself is not different from Paramatma. Adi Shankar, in his famous work Vivek Chudamani, has written, Etavud padhi para jiva yotsayo samyang nirase na paro na jiva. Rajyam narendrasya bhatasya khetaka istayor pohe na bhato na raja. He says that the difference which we see with our eyes between the Paramatma and the Jivatma, the God and the soul, the supreme truth and the Jivatma, the living beings, that is only because we have not been able to develop the Brahm Bhav, some drishti, equanimity. Once we are able to cultivate it, then all the differences simply disappear. And the simile which he uses is Rajyam Narendrasya Bhatasya Khetaka, the ruler sitting in his palace and the watchman is standing on the gate. If you remove the titles and the uniform which both of them wear, then there is no difference between the two. It is the knowledge of the self, of Atmagyan, that removes the blinkers from our eyes, and then all differences disappear into thin air. On the other hand, Jinnahs, this is what I'm referring to the book, the earlier book of Akbar Sahib. On the other hand, Jinnahs, he has written that Jinnah's confidence was based more on political deals with the British. It is strange that a man who was described as ambassador of Hindu-Muslim unity and who had even won Mahatma Gandhi against involving in Khilafat movement, who was hooted by Muslim clergy and walked out from Nagpur AICC session. For he thought that mixing religion with politics was like these are exactly his words, that you are playing with fire when you get involved in the Khilafat movement by mixing religion with politics. But later, he advocated religious separatism and ultimately got the country partitioned. Admittedly, Jinnah had no familiarity with Islamic spiritual legacy, and he harped on Muslim exclusiveness as advised by Muslim, feudal, and theo-jurists. Maulana Azad, the prediction made by Maulana Azad in 1946 becomes very important. And it proved to be true. Pakistan could not sustain itself, and within 25 years saw unprecedented violence, and it is split into two. The financial crisis and internal mayhem faced by Pakistan today is nothing less than an existential crisis. But whatever is happening there will not surprise a student of Quran, because the book clearly and unequivocally warns the divisive forces of severe punishment as it was sent down on the divisive forces of earlier generations. Quran says, وَقُلْ إِنِّي أَنَا النَّذِيرُ الْمُبِينُ كَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَى الْمُقْتَسِمِينَ. I have come here only to warn you of the severe punishment which was sent to earlier generations for their divisive tendencies or attitudes. They divided the society, they divided people, and those who divide the society, and I personally feel that that famous couplet of Maulana Rum is actually inspired by these two verses of the Holy Quran, where Maulana Rum says, Tu baraye wasl kardanam di, ne baraye fasl kardanam di. You have been sent to bring people together, to create bridges between them, and not to sever them, not to separate them. It would not be out of place here to refer to an anecdote, because even Rai Sahib in the end talked about this national unity. A quote by R.K. Prabhu in his book, to understand the mind of Mahatma on the question of national unity. During his memorable tour of Noakhali in early 47, Gandhiji halted for a few minutes at the house of a villager. His name was Asghar Bhuyan at Dharampur. Gandhiji was given a warm reception, garlanded by the villagers. The children got around him, and he told them, "You are all my friends." Then Asghar Bhuyan pointed towards a branch of a tree and told Mahatma, "You see, Gandhiji, this branch has two kinds of leaves on the same tree." Gandhiji laughed and said, "There is nothing strange about it. It is all God's creation. These two different kinds of leaves of one tree are like Hindus and Muslims of the same soil. But see how they are flourishing side by side in the same tree. They tell us that we should live as brothers in the same soil as these two leaves are living in the same tree." Finally, I will say that I know Shri M.J. Akbar for more than 40 years. I have enjoyed his kindness, his affection, and shall always remain indebted to him. for having almost forced me to write a regular column for his weekly. It were those pieces, after he forced me, it were those pieces which were compiled into a book form to which reference was made earlier. So he is not only an extraordinary author, but has the magic touch of turning somebody like me into an author. Thank you very much. I would like to give him my warm compliments for authoring this profound work on Mahatma Gandhi, who is not only our father of nation, but our role model as well. I am confident that this book will help us to understand the Mahatma better and inspire us not only to hail him, but try to imbibe the spirit of his teachings and act accordingly as much as possible. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for addressing us.
Call Mohandas. Call Mohandas.
National anthem.
National anthem. Call Mohandas.
National anthem. National anthem. Yes. May I now request everybody to stand up for the national anthem. The program would continue for a while. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah.
I just wanted to speak a word, thank all of you for having made the time and taken the interest of coming here. And in particular, old friends are here. And thank you all once again very much. I can end on a very small note of humor to go with the tea that follows. You know, Gandhiji used to be arrested very often, as all of us know. And Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore once told him, he said, you're a very powerful Mahatma. All of us need a rest cure. You get an arrest cure.